Welcome back to the shop. I figured I would make a follow-up video on this portable power bank solar generator that I built. I actually populated the rest of the battery packs, and about 10 of these packs are 3 amp hour, and I'm sorry, 5 of these packs are 3 amp hour and 5 packs are 2 amp hour. So that puts us right into the 250 270 watt hour range for this unit. There's a couple of pluses and minuses. I've been using this, I'll go with the pluses first. I've been using this for about a week. I've been charging my cell phone right off of this, the quick charger, and based on the voltage, which is 11.2, I have about 50% power, and I've been charging my Pixel 6 every night off of this, and it's been working wonderfully. Now the downside. I was hoping to be able to use these two terminals to possibly jump start a battery for a vehicle. The BMSs do not allow that kind of amperage to be put through the system, so this as a jump starter, not useful. Another thing that's kind of, I guess I should have seen coming, is this actual charging unit. This thing is rated for 4 amp hours. I thought I was going to squeeze in about 60 watts out of it. The reality is I can only do about 2.5 amp hours before this thing overheats. There's a passive heatsink here, and the passive heatsink just gets insanely hot. This thing gets to like 90 Celsius and then starts the thermal throttle, and then it disconnects. So can't run this at full tilt, which is fine. At the current power rate, it would take somewhere between 8 and 12 hours to charge this from flat, which again I'm okay with. With that said, I decided to make a bunch of accessories for this thing. I think on the last video you guys saw I put everything in this pouch. Whoa, oops. That's not bad. Put everything in this pouch using this 130 watt laptop adapter with proper pigtail, and this thing works a treat. I have 2 clips that actually I can tie on to these terminal posts, I guess for sharing power. I also have a car charger with appropriate connector, and all these, again, I had all of this already. USB charging cables, a few flavors, as well as a little USB light that you can plug into here, like so. Turn this thing on, and you get a little light. Nothing earth-shattering, but okay, worth having. So I sat down and thought about it. I'm like, oh, and one more USB adapter with a secondary light so I can plug it into the top power port. I almost forgot about this. Right? So I sat down and thought about this, and these lights are very nice for certain situations, but what if you want something a little bit brighter? Somewhere in the 10 to 12 watts with a nice projector. And I got to thinking, what could I use for that? Well, how about a set of off-road lights? Apparently these things have gotten ungodly cheap, and I ran a power meter through this. This thing pulls out about 13 watts or so of power, so this is real power, and this thing is pretty darn bright. And I figured, small, compact, pretty bright, why not mount it here somewhere? Put a little switch here, and yes, it'll make the unit a little bit bigger, but having a portable light It's not a bad way to go. But I still want to keep my power adapter useful, and this screw over here can't protrude too far down because otherwise it's going to run into the batteries. There's not a ton of room here, but I think I can squeeze a switch as well as this thing. So without further ado, let's mount this. So now it's time to mark these, and I'm going to put the bracket that came with it right about here, marking the center of the bracket. But I'm not using the factory bolt. I think this is a little too big. I have an M6 bolt with a square nut, and that's going to go here. And I've already marked the center of this boss 10 mils in for the little switch that's going to go right there. So time to drill them out. I don't need to tell anybody that you should be careful because there's actually live wires here now. And it may not sound like much, but there's a whole lot of amperage in here. So it's one hole. And that's two holes. Should be both big enough to do what we need. And this should be big enough for M6. So first things first, I used a fuse block that I used for this. This is an automatic resetting fuse that I used for the power port. This thing does 12 amps. It has a secondary output, so I use that for live, and then I used this here for neutral here. So I should be able to sneak that in and bring the wire in as well, which is probably also going to get another M6. Main reason I used the M6 was also because I drilled between the ribs here, and I was able to squeeze that in without compromising the rib here. And I got your negative here and the positive here, so I'm going to connect the negative back up. And one of the things that I didn't like about this bracket is bracket's too wide, so I 3D printed some spacers. These are only 1 mil. They fit between here and the bracket, and these are the little bolts that come with it. So might as well put that in here this way. This is it mounted. Drilled a small hole here in the back. Gave it some strain relief, put a zip tie in here so this way that doesn't move out, and now it's time to solder the wires together. I'm sure most of you guys that are watching this know how to do this already, so I'll bring it back as soon as I'm done. Actually, I wanted to show you something here. So this is the positive wire, right? And I want to do what is called a lineman splice. And what I'm going to do is a little over ½ an inch, same thing here. You put them at a cross, like so. You twist them together, almost into a ball, and you keep twisting them together, like so. This creates a pretty strong bond, and this could potentially be okay without any soldering, but if you solder it, it gets even better. So just figure I'll let you guys know. This is wired in now, I'll show you how it powers up, but I want to show you one more thing. These things, this box, the block here is actually adjustable side to side, which is good because this allows me to mount this away from the power port, so you can still plug in something into the power port that I may want to plug in at some point. With that said, I think the light's pretty bright. I guess we're gonna have to see it somewhere in the dark, but till then, it's pretty darn bright. And I haven't weighed this yet, but I have a feeling it's probably in the 5-6 pound range, if not more. I will weigh it. I'll put it underneath the screen here somewhere. Well, this is my backyard. As you can see, or you can't see, nothing. This is the flashlight. I have to say I'm quite pleased. As the tops of the trees. Brings me to the end of this project. I've met most of my design criteria with this. The only one that I missed was the ability to jumpstart a vehicle from these terminal posts, which is, I mean, it's fine. I have jump starters for that reason. I have a built-in DC to DC buck converter, so I can feed this thing just about any sort of voltage between, I believe, 9 and like 30 volts or so. I have my 110 volt 400 watt inverter. I have a quick charge power supply. I have my power port, emergency lighting. I mean, I think it came out pretty good. I'm quite happy and quite satisfied with it. And if you guys like seeing these kinds of projects, subscribe to the channel. I have a few more coming, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Thank you. Bye.